So let's start with the rapid fire round. First one is, at what age do you want to retire?
50 sounds nice.
How long does it take you to get ready in the mornings?
10 minutes, very fast.
Favorite color?
Red.
What time of day are you most inspired?
Morning.
How many hours of sleep can you survive on?
5.
Fill in the blank. An upcoming technology trend is blank.
Exciting.
The city in which the best kiss of your life happened.
Rome.
How do you relax?
I take a nice bath.
How many cups of coffee do you drink per day?
Don't tell my doctor, but 4, 5?
A habit of yours that you hate.
Looking at sent emails too many times.
The most valuable skill you've learned in life.
If you're on time, you're late.
Your favorite Netflix show.
Emily in Paris.
One-word description of your leadership style.
Collaborative.
Top priority in your daily schedule.
Working out.
Ideal vacation spot for relaxation.
Lake Michigan.
Key factor for maintaining a work-life balance.
Maintaining perspective. Work is not your life.
Well, that's the end of the rapid fire. We can move on to the longer questions now. The first one is, can you share insights into your role as the EMEA Advisory and Cyber Lead at Dell Technologies? What are the key challenges you address in helping organizations enhance their cyber resilience through strategic technology partnerships?
Yeah, absolutely. So I spend time with Dell's largest clients, helping them build greater levels of cyber resilience. What that really means is working with clients, looking at some of their large risks, and helping them develop strategies to overcome some of the gaps they might have in terms of how they would best respond and recover in the event of a catastrophic cyber attack. So that can look like identifying key services, understanding how they're being protected, how the data that sits behind it is being protected, and then how that would be recovered in the event something happens.
How often does it happen?
Cybercrime happens all the time at different scales and with different impacts. So it's something that every business needs to be prepared for.
So in your advocacy for diversity and inclusion, particularly in empowering women to enter the cybersecurity and technology field, what initiatives or strategies do you find most effective in driving positive change?
It's a huge area of concern for me. I think there needs to be much more diversity and much more talent in general in this field of cybersecurity. I think someone much smarter than me once said, if you can't see it, you can't be it. So I think the first thing is we need to promote and make sure that we are keeping female talent within the business and giving them all the tools to be successful and moving them up into leadership roles, because it's not going to be attractive for women to join a profession that is male-dominated. So that's one thing. I think we need to upskill, we need to reskill, and we need to create a diverse culture within those teams.
And what are some of the steps that organizations are already taking to this regard?
I think we're seeing really great focus on having, a team that is truly diverse, making sure we're not making software, we're not making technology decisions without a well-balanced team. That's not just necessarily gender, but creed and race. And I think that's really important. I think, having goals and objectives for companies is important. I know Dell has some. I think what needs to be followed up is the how we're going to get there. It's one thing to have a really great vision. We want to see 50% of women in leadership roles, but there needs to be a solid plan to actually move the dial forward. And I think that's what I'm not seeing enough of. Lots of great lip service, but not enough act.
So you've spoken about cybersecurity and diversity, and you've also been shortlisted for the Cyber Woman of the Year at the 2023 Cybersecurity Awards. What motivates you to champion cyber resilience, and what advice would you give to those aspiring to make a significant impact in this domain?
What inspires me is I have some amazing women that I look up to in the field of cybersecurity that are really championing diversity, that really, want me to succeed, want other women to succeed. So I think, one thing that you can do is find a woman like that or be a woman like that to someone else. If you are finding success in this field, there's probably someone else you can champion along the way. I think for women, a lot of times, we're discounted at the beginning. So for me, getting the CISSP certification really helped me feel like I was fully entitled to be in the room and part of the conversation. So I think for my confidence, that was really important, and I would encourage other women to do it. You can absolutely get it. It takes probably a year. Go for it. So I think those are some ideas.
Could you speak a bit about now Dell's zero trust strategy? What are the key elements of the strategy when it comes to cyber resilience, and how does it contribute to building a more resilient community and organization?
Sure. Zero trust is great. I mean, this idea of never trust, always verify, it's not necessarily something that only Dell does. We're seeing it, everywhere, and all organizations are building a zero trust framework. Dell is a part of that ecosystem. So we not only are building zero trust into our solutions, we're actually building zero trust solutions that you can buy out the gate. We're also working with an ecosystem of other partners to do it. I think what's quite interesting is this project Fort Zero that's based in the US, where we've signed up to really take on the DoD's list of criteria for what a zero trust solution needs to look like. We're then going to be validated against that. And once approved, we will have the only DoD approved zero trust solution. So if a client wants to buy a full end-to-end capability and solution, again, they can buy it from Dell knowing it's been verified by the Department of the DoD. So I think that's great.
Would you recommend other companies to do the same with the DoD?
Yeah, absolutely. It doesn't have to just be the DoD. I think that certifications, again, like working with the DoD helps because a client that's buying it knows that, someone else has looked into this. But I think what we need in general is more collaboration with public and private sectors. So that might look different in Europe, in the UK, might look different in Asia. But I think having, government involvement in technology, having technology providers like Dell to help the public sector to be more resilient, I think that's a good thing.
In your recent episode on SiliconANGLE and theCUBE, you mentioned cyber resilience. What is it about? Can you tell us?
About that particular episode? Yeah, I do so many of these, so I'll have to remember exactly what I said in that episode. But I think for me, cyber resilience is not about building the most secure business that no one is able to penetrate. It's about assuming no matter what you do, someone will get into the environment. What is your plan to recover? Now, I think we've moved from that being a very technology-focused plan to being a business-focused plan. There's no sense in having infrastructure that's recoverable if the business is not recoverable. So I think one of the things I work with our clients on is understanding the business priorities, what those key services are that you would fail to be a bank without, an energy company without, and then making sure we're taking the right steps to protect and recover that service. And underneath that, there will be technology and data, and there will be investment in technology solutions. But it's much more about the business and the priorities of the business.
Do you have any memorable or example of this business focus that was unique to a client or to a different industry?
Yeah, so I spent a lot of time in financial services, and I think their focus, is two parts. One is preserving the bank, but also making sure that customers can do things like take money out of an ATM and apply for a loan. And so the work that Dell's been doing with Sheltered Harbor, which is a U.S. non-for-profit that was started by the largest U.S. banks to protect consumer confidence in the financial system, is really unique. I think what's unique about it is looking at the consumer lens. If I go to the bank and all of a sudden they say, we have no idea how much money's in your bank account, Liz, we're sorry, we might know tomorrow. What kind of panic does that give me personally? What does that give the global economy? That is a huge problem. So I think working with financial services to make sure that those systems and services are protected, working with a group like Sheltered Harbor that's looking out for those consumers is really amazing work and really important because it can have global implications.
So you're also an advocate for the use of AI in the workplace. How have you personally leveraged AI tools to enhance your productivity and decision-making?
Yeah, AI is great. I think I'm on a panel tomorrow on generative AI and security, and really excited to talk and explore the good and the bad of generative AI. In terms of the good and how I'm using it, I think we sometimes can be quite emotive at work. There might be some really difficult conversations that we have to have or notes that we're writing. And to take the emotion out, oftentimes I'll put it all in AI and say, can you make this more corporate, less emotive? I think it's really helpful because it's getting my point across, but it's doing it in a way that's more balanced when I don't feel like I have the energy, maybe because of the person I'm sending the note to write as such. I think what we are learning about generative AI is you have to agree with what it produces, and it doesn't always produce good things, and we see hallucinations and errors all the time. So I would say you have to use it with caution and with intellect, but it can be a great tool.
And is there any cybersecurity issues of companies using just ChatGPT?
Tons. Tons. That's what we'll be talking about tomorrow.
Okay.
I guess, we're worried about disclosure of data, privacy of data, how to really, the genie is out of the bottle, so how do we really manage this? And then I think we're also worried about what are bad actors doing on the other side? Oh, they're taking advantage of this, and they're using it for disinformation and misinformation and deep fakes, and, just being able to have much more scale with the criminal activities that they perform. So it is a real risk, but I think there's also real benefit, and we have to harness kind of the positive elements of generative AI and use it to our benefit.
So let's switch to a lighter note. What does your typical day at Dell look like? You wake up in the morning and then?
Wake up in the morning, I have my coffee, and then I rush into the office, maybe meet a few clients, work with a lot of different strategic partners, like Accenture, for example, where we might talk about how we can both help a client build greater levels of cyber resilience. We might then go meet the client together. I might, do some sort of panel. I might mentor a younger woman that's looking into cybersecurity or in the middle of taking the CISSP to give encouragement. I might go get encouragement from someone who's helping me and mentoring me. So those are a few things.
So could you talk a bit about your role as the EMEA Advisory and Cyber Lead at Dell? You work closely with CISOs, CTOs, CIOs, and heads of risk. What are the most common cybersecurity challenges that organizations in the EMEA region are currently facing?
So challenges are, how do we handle regulatory pressures? There's a lot of pressures with the Bank of England and with DORA, pressures that I think are helpful and good, because I think they drive decision-making, but also I think are real concerns for organizations that have lots of priorities. So that's one. I think another is, the nature of the silos within a business. So because we're seeing this as more of a business decision, we still have security and IT and legal all kind of in these bubbles. And what we realize is as we build zero trust in, as we build resilience in, we need to collapse those into one and have much more of a flat organization where we can talk to each other. So I think that is a real challenge for organizations. How do we reduce risk when we don't even know about some of these risks? And then emerging technologies, generative AI, I've already mentioned, but I think super exciting. But how are we going to manage this? How are we going to deploy it? And how are we going to deploy it in a way that's responsible and secure?
So what's your strategy for dealing with European regulations? Because they're different for different countries.
Yeah, I think it depends on the sector. I think financial services is pretty clear as to kind of what needs to be done. It's just a matter of doing it and prioritizing certain elements. I think I'm encouraged by what I've seen from the European AI Act in terms of ring fencing, certain types of AI that are allowed, not allowed, and making sure that organizations are responsible with how they use the technology. So I think you have to take it client by client. There's very interesting regulations in Switzerland that are different, than the UK, for example. So take it as it comes.
So the last question for you is of a personal kind.
Yeah.
What would you be doing in your life if not this?
I would say I love to travel. So I might be a travel vlogger with some sort of show on the side, not ordained because I'm not as cool as him, but something like that, tasting different foods, meeting different people of different backgrounds, writing about what I see. I am Liz Green, now Campbell, European Advisory and Cyber Leader at Dell Technologies. Catch me on the Technologists of the Month podcast.